Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hine Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We are in the middle of the first Mishnah of the second chapter, 2:1. The Mishnah continues, be careful with a small mitzvah or a light mitzvah, like a serious mitzvah, because you don't know the reward of mitzvahs. And you should consider the loss of a mitzvah versus its reward, and the reward of an avera, so to say, the reward of a sin against its loss. We still didn't finish the Mishnah. We'll hopefully finish next time. But let's see what Rabeinu Yonah has to say on what we just learned. What does it mean to be careful with a small mitzvah like a big mitzvah? So, when it comes to the Torah, if you read the Torah, you'll notice that reward is not given for the positive commandments, but punishments are given for the negative commandments. There are certain sins which get kares. Yesh b'misa b'dei shemayim. There are those that get the heavenly death penalty. Kares. What's kares? Hu v'zaro nichrasen. It's where him and a person get cut off. So him and his children get cut off. Misa b'dei shemayim. What is the heavenly death penalty? Hu levado nichras. That's just where he gets cut off. He dies early. V'yesh b'misa b'dei adam. There are certain sins, if you read the Torah, that the Sanhedrin punishes a person. They get the Jewish Supreme Court inflicts the death penalty. Shehem arba misas bezdin. Those are the 4 ways that the rabbinical court kills somebody. V'yesh b'lav, and there are other prohibitions in the Torah that incur malchus. A person gets lashes for. Shehu malchus abarim, 40 lashes. However, al divreihem, and someone who violates the words of the sages. Makanaso makas mardus midorabanan. Someone who violates the words of the sages would also get lashes, rabbinic lashes, and it would seem that rabbinic lashes hurt just as much as Torah lashes. So one can't take rabbinic commandments lightly. So that's when it comes to the sins. If a person violates sins, the Torah is very clear what punishments a person gets for sins. Now, even though the death penalty, we know, the Gemara says, was not carried out very often, if it says in one place that if the Bezdin carried out a death penalty once every 70 years, it was considered bloodthirsty. So if so, why does the Torah write all these punishments if they were rarely carried out? The reason is because Hashem wants this to tell us how severe these sins are, how much He considers them important, that if a person does a certain act, he's really deserving of death. That's how serious God takes those actions. And continues Rabeinu Yonah, but it doesn't say anywhere the reward for a mitzvah. Lo bekalos v'lo b'chamuros, not with the quote-unquote easy mitzvahs and not with the hard mitzvahs. It doesn't say the reward for doing a positive commandment. So while a negative commandment, it'll say a person might get kares or might get the death penalty or get lashes, it doesn't say the reward for putting on tefillin or wearing tzitzis or taking a lulav. So the rabbis said a metaphor, a parable to explain this phenomenon. What is this comparable to? A king gave over an orchard to his servants to plant trees. Now, if he would say to his servants which trees will be rewarded more, which trees he values more, and therefore he'll give more reward, everybody, all of his servants, would be trying to fulfill the tree, trying to plant the trees that are the one that the king prefers, the more significant ones. And then the orchard would be lacking from the other trees, right? Everyone would be going and planting cherry trees, and nobody would be putting the little the little bushels over there. And to have a complete garden, you also need to have the little bushels to make it look proper. So the same thing. Had Hashem told us the reward for the positive commandments, people would just do the mitzvahs that have a lot of reward, and they would leave over and not do the mitzvahs that have a little reward. And therefore, and if that would happen, a person would not be complete in mitzvahs. We learn that a person has to complete all the mitzvahs, has to fulfill all 613 commandments for him to be a complete person. He or she would become a complete person. But if we knew the reward, and therefore we would only do the serious mitzvahs, we wouldn't have the less serious mitzvahs, and we wouldn't be complete. Therefore, a person should not take lightly any mitzvah. Because you don't know which is the big mitzvah, which is the little mitzvah, so to say. But Rebbe here wrote a very important thing. You don't know the reward of the mitzvah. How great it is. Meaning, even the little mitzvah, the reward for a little mitzvah is very great. We can't comprehend the reward for a mitzvah, even a small mitzvah. And you should be careful not to lose out the opportunity to get this exalted reward for even a little mitzvah. Like it says, the Gemara, there's a mitzvah of shiluach hakan. When you find a mother bird and you want to take the eggs, you have to shoo away the mother bird. Very easy mitzvah. And now that mitzvah, which is just is very easy and is like an Isser, costs very little. Amr Torah, the Torah says, Laman yitav lach, in order that it should be good to you, Lom shekulu tova rachli yom, and you'll live a long life. So, a person gets a reward for doing that very easy mitzvah, which doesn't cost much, long life. La'olam shekula arach, kal v'chayim l'mitzvahs chamura shebatorah, all the more so for the serious mitzvahs in the Torah. So, the Gemara is saying that you see from Shiluach HaKan, which is a very easy mitzvah, the reward is long life. And even in Olam Haba, in the next world, to have long life in the next world. Perhaps only long life in the next world. Nevertheless, the Torah gives such a great reward, so all the more so by the serious mitzvos. The more serious mitzvos. Okay, let's continue. A person should consider the loss of a mitzvah versus its reward. A person should feel in his heart. A person might say, how could I do this mitzvah? I'm going to lose out a certain amount of money. I could be working during this time. If I get to work a little later, maybe I work on Wall Street, and if I go to Minyan and put on tefillin in the morning, I'm going to get late to my job at Wall Street, and I'm going to lose a lot of money. You should tell him, you'll get double and 1,000 times much more than what you lost. And you shouldn't hold back from this. Right? We can't compare the reward that we're going to get for a mitzvah versus any monetary gain in this world. It will be thousands and thousands of times greater. Non-comparable. A person should consider the reward of a sin versus its loss. Maybe a person will mistakenly say in his heart, listen, if I do this sin, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be super rich, and I'm going to get so much enjoyment from it. How could I not do it? How could I not do this sin? I'm going to be a billionaire if I do this sin. Hishamar says, watch yourself. Think about what you're going to lose in the end of days, meaning in the next world. You're going to gain now, but you're going to lose out in the next world. And it's double and double what you're gaining now. So you're going to gain $1 billion now. You're going to lose a lot worse in the next world. And the pain that you'll get, and the person will get in the future for doing a sin, is much greater than any benefit, any enjoyment he'll get now. When a person places this in his heart, when he contemplates this matter, he'll refrain from doing the sin. A person, no sane person would take a small profit now if he could gain so much more later. So we just learned, we're still in the middle of the first mission of the second parak, but we're learning about how important a mitzvah is. We learned that even a small mitzvah, we don't know how great the reward is. We find by a very easy mitzvah, Shiluach HaKan, person gets long life and life in the next world, so all the more so for serious mitzvahs. And we have to even do the small mitzvahs because a person is only complete when he does all the mitzvahs, not just the serious mitzvahs. And we learned also if a person doesn't want to do a mitzvah because of the cost that it's going to be very expensive for him to do this mitzvah and give up work for a certain amount of time. He should think about how much he's going to gain in the next world. And the same thing, a sin. A person might want to do a sin because he thinks in this world he's going to gain some pleasure, some money. He thinks he's going to, but he should think that in the next world, if he does it, he's going to lose out much, much more. And no sane person would choose to do a sin in that case. With that, wishing everyone a great day.